Sunday, December 4th, today on the Daily Review, we discuss maybe the last analog action movie that's of really high quality. That's right, it's John Frankenheimer's 1998 masterpiece, Ronin. With your host, me, Professor Joe LaRocca. This film stars, oh boy, a whole bunch of people. Robert De Niro and Sean Bean and Jonathan Pryce and Vincent Price and Natasha McElhone and Stellan Skarsgård and Jean Reno. A big, bolsterous, burgeoning, it's a big international cast. Very cool. And it is a spy heist James Bondy type movie. Very Euro, all set in France. And there are real car chases through these narrow streets of Nice and other places, and they're butt-clenchingly exciting. They're crazy, and it's smart too. David Mamet had a pass at the screenplay, and you can feel that every line matters, and all these little some things are a little quippy or jokey, but they're not there just to be cool. It's actually defining the character and developing something, and something that will pay off later, or upon repeat viewings you're like, oh look, you should have known from this point that this character was such and such. It's really good. I won't spoil any of it. Really, the movie is this team gets together, brought together by an Irish woman, to get this case before the Russians get it. And that's kind of all we know, and we don't even know what's in the case. And it's it's not super duper heavy, and it's not super fragile. It's not like fucking Fabergé eggs or something in there, because it gets tossed around a bit. But it's probably not documents or pictures, because we're 98. The movie probably takes place mid 90s. I think it's supposed to, or maybe I think it's a little bit early. There's definitely a few. They're car phones and stuff, but not everybody has cell phones, so it's a little bit earlier. What are you doing, Odie? What's up? I know what she's doing. I got nuts. These kind of nuts. I don't have a nutcracker. And I just kind of assumed that I could just kind of crack into them, and I've been hitting them with the butt of this knife like this. I've been going to crack into the sweet walnuts, but it has sent little pieces of nut and nutshell all over my room, and Odie's just going around eating them up. I'm sure a dog is not supposed to be eating the shell, so I'm getting them out of her mouth, but you might every once in a while hear in the background, and I might have to run, prevent Odie from choking. Okay, that's a good review of Ronin, right? I feel John Frankenheimer would be happy with that. So yeah, it's a movie that's got twists and turns, but everything makes sense. There's 4 action sequences, 2 car chases that are remarkable. I think up there with the best car chases ever, because there's no CG. Right? This is an action movie just before The Matrix, which changed everything, and then maybe for the better in some way, or in a lot of ways, but with the photorealistic special effects and kind of crazy in-camera stuff that they melded together in The Matrix. But it just changed. It changed everything to a more Eastern style of action movie, I would say, and as opposed to the cowboy style that we were doing here in the West. And this one, though, it's just the characters are so good. There's a few things I don't like. The voiceover at the end. There's a few, there's it's not perfect, but as far as an action movie goes, an adult, mature action movie, this is better than any chase that's in the Fast and Furious movie. I know that sounds crazy. Some of those are more fun, maybe, and I think some of them are I've enjoyed some Fast and Furious movies for sure, especially Fast 5. But this is you can just feel everything about it feels so much more real, and nobody has a cool car. They all have just these sturdy workhorse, beefy Audi Citroen type, like European cars, and Mercedes. Not that those aren't cool cars, but like no one has like I get my chrome Jaguar 5000 or whatever. I don't know about cars. Anyway, um, the sound design is amazing and the music is great. They let the whole chase isn't like it will get to that point, but they'll let the car chase go for like a few minutes with just and people in the streets going, "Oh Jesus Christ!" like crashing through stuff, and De Niro's face going. It's just the best. It's so good. It's definitely like an underappreciated De Niro role. He plays it very, very subtle, and it's kind of a classic. He's doing like a classic thing. I really enjoy it. Am I talking too much praise for this movie? I don't think so. I love it. I remember one time I watched it in grad school with I'd seen it many times before, but I watched it in grad school with my producer friend we were shooting his movie the next day. I think it must have been at the end of the first year of grad school, and he was so nervous, even though he's a police officer who is like he's used to being in stressful situations. He got so nervous the night before his shoot that he just drank a ton, just so much alcohol. And we watched this movie, and I remember we were just like, "Yeah, this part's awesome. I'll listen to this sound effect." And then in the morning, he was so hungover that he ended up going to the emergency room where his girlfriend, now wife, worked, and got a bag, like Joe Rogan or whatever. He got like saline and rehydrated from the bag so they could be like ready to take on the day. I was like, it was pretty hardcore. Anyway, there's some life hacks there, but I always remember that in this movie. I don't know, just like it was one of the first DVDs I ever bought, and then I did get this special Arrow version of it at some point a few years ago on Blu-ray, because the transfer is like way better. So at least the version of the DVD I had was like a really early one, and it didn't look nearly as cool. That's not what I mean, but nearly as crisp and clear. And this has tons and tons of bonus features on it that are really interesting, like interviews and stuff. So yeah, I recommend it. And Arrow, they're good. They're my second favorite boutique. What am I talking about? Watch Ronin if you haven't seen it. It's probably on something. I don't know. It's kind of a dude movie, I guess, but I wish I got more action movies like this and less with like Will Smith and Liam Hemsworth, and I don't need those, or Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans or any Chris or any Hemsworth. They're fine, but give me a nice mature action. Give me some Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, but then throw 3 car chases and a foot chase and an old French guy who paints little samurai sword miniatures, and have De Niro take a bullet out of himself in maybe one of the best bullet removal scenes in film history. That scene, the look on De Niro's face is so awesome. That's the most realistic scene. Anyway, it's a good one. Just breathe in that sweet, sweet air of a nice movie. Okay, like and subscribe. If you don't, it's a bummer, but thank you if you do. What I learned is that, I wasn't until I realized that this was 98 when I looked at it. When I watched it, I thought it was a little bit earlier than that. That I was like, oh, this might actually be one of the last, like, realistic, modern, like, in that era, like, action movies where the characters are all well developed and it's treated seriously. And maybe this was kicked off by things like Die Hard, which is just like, it's treated like he's not a superhero. I mean, he is a superhero, but he's vulnerable, So I think that from that, like the early 80s to about here, there's like a very special type of action movies that are made kind of in a 70s style, but with huge advancements in production design, camera technology, and special effects, but pre full on like computer nonsense, which then kind of like resets stuff, much like going from the silent era into the sound era. It takes a little while to catch back up, and there's only like a few people who figure out how to weave between the raindrops. Anyway, very cool. Check this out. I'm gonna go and watch some movie that I'm supposed to have watched from that Sight and Sound thing that I haven't seen. Also, Cinematography, one of the highfalutin YouTube channels that I do like about movies. He did his personal top 30, and it's a very interesting list. Some I agree with, some I don't. But he's like, this is just my personal. It's good. It makes me want to do something like that, like make a academically designed top 30 movies or something, where the 10 are like really specific, and then 11 to 30 are just kind of like they're in the top, but like one isn't better than the other. You know what I mean? Like, you're not saying like this Jaws is 2 better than The Pianist or whatever. I don't know if either of those would be on there. I just had to pick movies off the top of my head. Cool show, Joe. Cool show. Definitely keep doing it every day. Awesome. Take it easy. Bye. Don't you get it? I didn't leave. Walk away. Get out of the car. Walk away. Don't you see? I never left.